Howdy folks, thought I'd do a follow-up on what I got going with this shower install. So I got the cement board all in and then waterproofed with Red Guard, a couple of coats, and started in on the tile. And I'm using a 3/16 inch grout gap. I use these little blue spacers to achieve that. And then at the bottom, I'm using little 1/8 inch dowels. I decided to go with a 1/8 inch gap at the bottom, and I'll caulk that. And I'm using 3/16 in the corners on the tiles, just like the rest. And I think I'm going to grout these corners. A lot of the professionals use caulking in the corners because of possible movements. But when I framed this in, I really locked in the corners, so to speak. Tied them together really solidly. So I don't think I'm going to regret using grout in those corners, but we'll find out over time. Let's see. And then also, when I put the cement board in, I placed it on top of the shower base flange. I saw a video from a professional that had been doing shower installs for over 30 years. And he said never ever drop your cement board down onto the edge of the shower pan. And he had videos to show what happens on some demolitions he did, where pretty much every time that cement board soaks up water. And so he convinced me. But what I've done is, so when I laid the cement board on top of the flange, I actually left a little bit of a gap above the flange, and I didn't want the cement board even touching the shower pan after the videos that gentleman showed. And what I'm using here is duct seal. It's kind of like plumber's putty, but I like it even better than plumber's putty. Plumber's putty kind of, to me, has kind of a grainy feel to it. Plus it says don't use it on any kind of plastics. But duct seal, I use that as an electrician. It's typically used by electricians for, like, if you run conduit through a wall to seal around the conduit and things like that. But it's wonderful stuff. It stays flexible. So I just kind of put sealed the bottom of the cement board with that. And then as I'm tiling, I fill the gap with the thin set. So as I go across here, I just put a flat layer of thin set to fill in that gap, nice and flat. That's how I'm going to do it, and we'll just see. I feel pretty confident that that's going to work well. And so, yeah, I'm liking the tiles. It's going together well. I almost made a huge mistake on this corner here yesterday because, I don't know, like a dummy, I just eyeballed this wall here, the corner, and I thought, that'll be a good reference point as I go across. Turns out it wasn't, and so I was getting uneven gaps on the edge here, and I was kind of fudging it a little bit for both of these two tiles. And then it dawned on me that if I kept fudging, I got 7 rows of tiles to go because I'm going all the way to the ceiling eventually. And it dawned on me, if I kept fudging for 7 rows, by the time I got to the top, this middle seam here would look like, just look real crazy. And so once I realized that, I was kind of in a panic, and I had to peel these 2 tiles off. And I got lucky. I was able to get them off. The thin set was still wet, And even with wet thin set, it was a chore pulling those tiles off. I had to kind of slide them back and forth, side to side, and at the same time pulling real hard until they popped off. And then luckily the thin set actually stayed moist enough that what I ended up doing is drawing what I should have done originally by drawing a level line. And I placed it in such a way that I'll have enough, the tiles are wide enough going both ways, that when what I'll be doing is trimming the edge to match the lean in the corner on both sides. And the center will be perfectly straight. So that was what I needed to do initially, and what I followed up doing when I managed to get the two tiles peeled off is I did draw myself a nice reference line, and that is very level. It's the pencil line to the right there, and that's my reference line. And again, as I go up the wall, the trimming will be, the tiles I'll be trimming on this edge to match the wall, the corner. And then and as you can tell, I'm doing the sidewalls first in this instance. So I think that's a little abnormal. I think most people do this back wall first and then do the sidewalls, but I'm doing the sidewalls first. And the reason I had to do that was because these are 24-inch tiles, and that's a 48-inch base. And actually, these are a little less than 24 inch. They're like 23 and a half, right in there. And in order to have enough tile length to trim to make the adjustments that I needed to do the end walls first, and that takes about a ½ inch at each side, so you end up with a full inch less width for that back wall. Let's see, I guess that's all I was going to report on. And oh, there is one more thing I should point out. So this is the header for the shower door, okay? It's going to go across about this height right here. I'll have a header across there for a shower door. And like a dummy, I scratched it with a knife opening the box. You know, just in a hurry, being careless. And so that's a real nice brushed nickel that I chose, but that's permanent. That's permanent. So what I've opted to do is, I have a relationship. I used to be in the sign industry, and I built a relationship with a graphics shop in Laramie, Wyoming, and it's a mom and daughter shop. They're called American Paintbrush, and I'm actually going to mail this header to them and have them put a mountain scene graphic across it of mountain peaks. And I think that's going to look really nice. It'll, you know, obviously the main thing is to cover the scratch. I'm going to lose the brushed nickel face, but I think it's going to look nice with this gray tile. I'll have a mountain scene across the top of the shower door, and I'll do a follow-up and show you how that turned out. And so yeah, that's where we're at on this. And meanwhile, happy holidays to everyone, and I love you all.